A British court has approved the extradition of Wikileaks founder Julian Assange to the USA, and there he faces up to 175 years imprisonment. Human rights activists and journalist associations are alarmed. Well, the voice of the judge with the old fashioned wig at the London High Court was very gentle as he announced the verdict on the appeal on the US extradition request for Julian Assange. But the content came out like a bang. The WikiLeaks founder can be extradited to the USA, so the decision. The judge continued the concerns about his welfare, which had led a court in the first instance to refuse the extradition, have been dispelled by assurances from Washington. The decision should now be in the hands of the British Home Secretary Priti Patel. Assange himself is not present when the verdict was announced. The 50-year-old Australian with snow white hair has been incarcerated in the maximum security prison Belmarsh in the southeast of the British capital for more than 2 years, together with murderers and terrorists, without ever having been convicted. It is primarily his mental health that worries his loved ones. Assange is not an easy person. Some even consider him contentious. But is he a suspected felon, or is it more of a victim of government arbitrariness? The judge did not answer these questions on Friday. Assange has been represented in public for some time by his lawyer and fiancée Stella Morris. She not only criticizes the judgment given on Friday in the appeal process, but also the decision of the judge in the first instance. In their verdict in February, apart from concerns about Assange's health, they had agreed to the arguments of the US judiciary without exception. But not only according to Morris, it is about much more than poor prison conditions. It is about the foundations of freedom of the press and democracy, Morris said with a trembling voice into the microphones of the assembled journalists after the verdict. And she added, "Today is International Human Rights Day. What a shame." Morris now sees the British and US judiciary as the extended arm of a state power that wants to make an example of the father of her 2 children. She accuses the Secret Service CIA of even plotting to murder Assange. At least that was what investigative journalists for Yahoo News had reported, citing unnamed US sources. Assange had evaded arrest at the Ecuadorian embassy in London for several years, and later dropped rape allegations from Sweden. During this time, the relationship with Morris developed. The couple had recently announced marriage plans. The US judiciary accuses Assange, together with whistleblower Chelsea Manning, of stealing secret material from US military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as a huge number of diplomatic cables and publishing them on the internet platform Wikileaks. This put the lives of American informants in danger in many countries. For US investigators, Assange is a spy. He faces a sentence of up to 175 years in prison. But his supporters argue that the publication exposed war crimes. For example, a video showed the killing of civilians by the crew of a US helicopter in Iraq. Unlike Assange, not one of the soldiers involved has so far had to answer to court. Whistleblower Manning was jailed for sharing the documents from 2010 until she was pardoned by former US President Barack Obama in 2017. The question of whether Assange, who was not subject to any duty of secrecy, can also be prosecuted, shakes the foundations of freedom of the press, and not only in Morris' opinion. "We firmly believe that Julian Assange has been targeted for his contribution to journalism. His trial will have dangerous effects on press freedom around the world," said Reporters Without Borders and their executive director Christian Mier as reaction to the judgment in London. The verdict marks a gloomy moment for journalism around the world on the very day on which the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to 2 journalists will be celebrated, it said in the RSF announcement. The signs "free at last" that were brought by Assange's supporters in the front of the courthouse were left unused on the fringes of the action on Friday. But giving up is out of the question for the activists. There can only be one solution: no extradition, they chant after the news of the defeat from the courtroom, and as soon as it hits the street, even if the latest decision made it a little bit more likely. But the legal tug of war over Assange is unlikely to be over yet. Assange's attorneys have announced they will go to the Supreme Court. We will see how that continues. But by the way, from today on I will start talking about German politics again. I did this in the beginning on my first channel here when I was still wildly mixing topics. Today at noon, my German politics channel started. I think it's time to finally tell my international viewers a little bit more about politics in my own home country. This is not a view from the outside, of course, hence the slightly different channel name, but here I have a more well-founded view from the inside. As most of you know, I've been a volunteer in politics for quite a long time and have a lot of experience. At the moment, I'm district councillor, deputy district mayor, and local party chairman. And the new government in Germany has been in office since this week, incidentally. With their parliamentary majority, however, they had already decided on changes in the fight against Corona, which had to be corrected again this week. So I'm looking forward to have a look at the work of this new government, and I will follow it critically on this channel in the future. So I hope to welcome many of you on that channel to get to know more about what is happening in the German politics. You will find the link to this new channel and to my other channels, of course, in the link comment under this video as soon as I posted it. And the comment, I mean. And I hope you visit me at my book reviews as well. That's something I really have fun doing. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.